Your biggest threat as a new manager is losing your best asset, and your best asset is your people. As a new manager, how do you retain your best employees when you don't have the flexibility to give them more money or a higher title? Did you know that there are at least 7 different motivating factors beyond money that retain employees and keep them motivated? The old adage is people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. But what if people stayed because of their leaders? That's exactly what I'm going to teach you to do, and you can start doing it today. The first motivating factor is sense of purpose. And this is tied directly to the goals that you might create with your direct reports at the beginning of every fiscal year. These goals have a very specific purpose, and that is to help your direct reports grow and develop and provide space for them to explore around the company, explore their career, and explore their skills. When creating goals, you want to make sure that those goals are attainable. Make sure that they're realistic. You might know the term SMART goals. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, SMART, will help retain your employees in a couple of different ways. But it's up to you to make sure that those goals are targeted towards their growth. And they should know that you have their growth in mind. Goals that are very rigid and are company mandated have the opposite effect of retaining our employees. In fact, they might motivate people to leave. If goals don't feel specific to us as employees and we don't feel valued as part of those goals, we're going to instinctively look elsewhere to get that motivation, to get that recognition. So when you're creating goals, understand that your goal as the leader is to provide a sense of purpose. Throughout that year, your direct report should feel like they are working towards something for them. Frankly, when we create goals, we want to know what's in it for me. And that's what your direct report is wondering. What's in it for me when I create this goal? In the past, employees might have felt like goals are more of a gotcha mechanism for a company. But the good leaders understand that goals are truly a mechanism and a vehicle to help their employees grow and move on. The second motivating factor is a positive culture, and this falls directly at your feet as a leader and a manager. It's important for you to foster a really positive culture, a consistent culture, a culture that fits the needs of everyone involved, not just you and your style, but ensuring that the culture does have positive aspects, does include accountability. No one wants to be on a team where it's a free-for-all, but no one wants to work for a tyrant either. So understanding that there's a balance in your culture that is up to you to find is a little bit intimidating at first. However, when you start to understand and build relationships with your team, you'll quickly understand what makes them tick, what keeps them motivated, what are the things that they want to see out of you. And it's okay to directly ask that question. What are you, the direct report, expecting of me, your leader? You might not be able to fulfill all of the different things that your direct reports are asking of you. However, they're actually giving you the answers to this proverbial test. If you're trying to figure out the culture you need to build, simply ask your direct reports and then create it from there. The third motivating factor here is recognition and appreciation. There are so many different ways to recognize and appreciate direct reports. Again, this falls at your feet to understand which buttons to push in this scenario. Some people really like recognition, but they don't always like it to be public. Of course, we love to appreciate people in public, but not everybody else likes that kind of attention. Building those strong relationships and understanding how people want to be appreciated is the first step. But the overall goal here is to make sure that you are appreciating them. You are valuing them. Celebrate small wins. People want to know that their leader is paying attention. So often we work so hard, long hours, sometimes on the weekends, maybe holidays, and when we don't get recognition for those types of things, it could really affect our morale. But when you as a leader show that you're paying attention, that makes all the difference. Again, this is not throwing money at someone's feet because they're doing a great job. Of course, we love to do those things. But when we don't have that kind of flexibility, showing that we are paying attention goes a really long way here. As you know, as someone who might be working in a new manager role, first-time leadership role, maybe you're a seasoned leader, you understand that career growth and mobility is a huge factor in motivation. So pay that forward to all of your direct reports. Understand that learning and development and career growth is a major part of their journey. And it is incumbent upon you to help them get there. Of course, doing really great work is a prerequisite here, but you as a leader should be helping them move on. In fact, our goal should not be to retain employees forever. We actually want to make sure that our employees are creating a brand for themselves that creates growth and space. And in some cases, that means they move on. And that's okay, because when you build a really strong culture, and there are ways that you are training and succession planning behind them, you have nothing to worry about. Because remember, you have a great culture, you're motivating people, and you have really great retention numbers. The fifth motivating factor here is autonomy. When you have experts on your team, and by now you should be delegating to them, they want to know that they have autonomy to make decisions, to create new projects, to run with an idea. When you create autonomy for someone, you're providing them space, and most importantly, you're telling them that you trust them. People want to be trusted, they want the autonomy, and they want to be able to do their jobs. This is part of creating that really great culture that we talked about earlier. Autonomy is something that you don't necessarily have to anoint someone. Someone will know by your actions. Leadership is not always about being in charge. In fact, it's very rarely about being in charge. It's about you empowering people to do their jobs and knowing that you have experts on your team that you can delegate to, and in turn, those people are autonomous at what they do. Of course, the expectation could be that they're managing up to you, they're bubbling up certain concerns, and they're coming to you for help, guidance, and support. The sixth and most notable motivation factor here is work-life balance. I gave a quick example earlier about sometimes we might work way too hard, not give ourselves that work-life balance, work long hours, potentially over the weekend or holidays. Work-life balance is something that we need as employees, as human beings, as leaders, yes, as leaders, to refresh and recharge. One of the most impactful things you could do here as a leader is be flexible enough to allow folks to reset, recharge, and take a vacation. If you're creating a culture with something called deep smarts, and that is where people are sharing information, they're training each other, and your team is essentially autonomous, you should have no concerns about your team taking vacation. Another thing to note here is that while people might feel free to take vacation, one of the things that you can do as a leader that's so subtle but so impactful is simply ask them to not be connected to their devices. Ask them to disconnect. In fact, require them to disconnect. Again, if you're building a strong, solid, positive culture, you shouldn't have to worry about your direct reports being unreachable, because in theory, your team is operating with autonomy and they know how to pick up the pieces. They can put out the fires, and they know they can bubble up to you as their leader in order to help them out. And this brings me to my seventh motivating factor, and it comes down to you, the leader. Having effective leadership is paramount if you're going to implement any of these motivating factors. While effective leadership encompasses a lot more than just 7 motivating factors, showing that you are leading with purpose, leading with conviction, leading with confidence, and trusting your team goes a long way here. Always be mindful of who you are as a leader. Have that self-awareness to understand what your brand is among your team. If you follow along with this channel, the next time you feel stuck as a leader, all you have to do is drop on by and get the information that you need to be the most confident leader that you could be. I have some links down below that can help you find me in different areas. I also have a free PDF to help you with your first few one-on-ones. I'd love to hear from you, so comment below on your biggest wins as a first-time manager in your first few months. Thanks for watching. See you next time.